part of our lesson for the day. And basically, we're actually going to be working with the roots. Now, the roots of anything means the solutions. And we actually found that, okay? Now, how can we find the roots of the equation x squared minus 9? Now, if you're not sure about how to do that, first of all, the roots means solutions or x-intercepts. Now, if we're talking about solutions or x-intercepts, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to let 0 equal x squared minus 9. Then what you're going to do is you're going to factor. Now, you'll notice that this is a difference of squares, so we end up with 0 is equal to x minus 3, x plus 3, and that means our x-intercepts, also known as the roots of our equation, is x is equal to 3 and x is equal to negative 3. Now, if you're not sure, this was the hint that I was going to give you. Basically, we're just going to factor. It's just a simple difference of squares. That's all we need to know. Now, you just need to remember that sometimes you got to factor using difference of squares. Other times you've got other things you have to do. Now, when we want to find the roots of this equation, all we're going to do, this next equation, is we're going to do the same thing. Now, if you're not sure what to do, this is the hint that we'll do. So, we're going to isolate x plus 2 squared and take the root of it. Now, as what we did before, you'll notice in our solution, the first solution is this. This is paramount. Let y equals 0. That's what we have to do in order to start the equation. So we go 0 equals x plus 2 squared minus 9. Now we take our 9, i.e. we isolate this part, the squared part, to get what we're looking for. So now we end up with x plus 2 squared is equal to 9. Now, in order to get rid of the 9, we have to take the square root of both sides. And when we take the square root of both sides, we have to recognize that we have x plus 2 is on one side, but the square root of 9 has two possibilities in this case. Normally, if we were just doing regular mathematics, we just go and say x is equal to the square root of 9 would be just positive 3. But this time, since we have to account for both the left and right side of the parabola, with its division being the axis of symmetry. In this case, for our equation, the axis of symmetry is 2. That means we have to account for the plus or the minus of 3. Okay, and now that we have that, we can take this 2 and we can move it to the front of this equation. And what that gives us is the following. X is equal to, now if I move the 2 to the other side, it's going to be negative 2 plus or minus 3. And this problem splits into two parts. X is equal to negative 2 plus 3, or x is equal to negative 2 minus 3, which means x in this case is negative 5, or x in this case is 1. And that is our solution for both of these. Okay? So, that's how we find the roots, and basically, that's it. So, we could say the roots for this solution are x equals this or that. Now, if we take a look at this problem here, y equals x squared plus 16. If we took a look at this and we wanted to find the roots, we have to let y equals 0 right away. So that means we have 0 is equal to x squared plus 10x plus 16. Now if we were factoring, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 16 but then add to 10. And those two numbers are 8 and 2. So we end up with 0 is equal to, for this simple trinomial, x plus 8 and x plus 2. Now, in order to find the roots, otherwise known as the x-intercepts, you could say the roots are, so we have either x plus 8 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. Solving, we end up with x is equal to negative 8 or x is equal to negative 2. And when we say this, we say the roots are x equals negative 8 or x equals negative 2. Now, method 2 for doing this involves completing the square, which comes from the solution that I showed you earlier about the quadratic formula. So let's go and do that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we take a look at our equation. We go, all right, we'll complete the square and then we'll let stuff equal 0. So let's go. So we start with y is equal to x squared plus 10x plus 16. Start by writing your equation. Then we're going to put all our x terms in brackets. X squared plus 10x. And then we have plus 16. All right, so now we have to take a look at this number here, the 10x. We have to take half of it and square it. So 10 divided by 2 squared is going to give me 25. So we're going to add and subtract 25, or we could write 5 squared. It's up to you. Which equals the following. X squared plus 10x plus 25 and minus 25 plus 16. Now, we're going to remove this 25 and we're going to move it outside of our bracket because it is the most offensive thing in there. And we end up with y is equal to bracket x squared plus 10x plus 25 plus 16 plus the garbage that's been taken out. Now, there was an implied 1 from the front bracket. And then, from the number in front of the front bracket, then we're going to go and take the negative 25 and we're going to put it in here. Now, doing so, what you're left with is y is equal to the following. X squared plus 10x, and we're still going to have the plus 25. And then we're going to have plus, well, this part here, this blue part here is going to equal negative 25. So let's just put that down on the next line. So 16 minus 25. And we complete the square with y is equal to, in brackets, all of this is squared. And so we end up with x plus 5 in our bracket. And then we have 16 minus 25, which is negative 9. Now we let y equal 0. So we get 0 is equal to bracket squared you have that. Now, solving for x, you're going to get 9 is equal to brackets x plus 5 squared minus, and the mine's on the other side. So now we're going to get rid of that square root. And this ends up being, remember, when you take the square root of a square, so the reason why we end up taking the plus or minus is because we take the square root of a square on an equation. So we end up, in this case, the number that comes out on the right side should be plus or minus 3 is equal to x plus 5. Now we'll go and take this plus 5, and we're going to move it to the front of this equation. And now we're left with x is equal to 5 plus or minus 3. So this gives us one or two possibilities. So x is equal to 5 plus 3, or x equals, or is it mine? Oh, sorry, got to go back here. This was plus 5 at the beginning, comes minus 5 here and minus 5 here. Minus 5 plus, nope, it's not plus, it's going to be minus 3 here. And when we end up with our final equation, therefore the roots are, remember, roots and solutions are synonymous. And also x-intercepts are x equal -2 or x equal -5, -8 actually. And we're done. Make sure you highlight your answers when you're done. All right, and that's it.